The DFA. There has been some interesting things happening in baseball with this mechanic. It is pretty wild what these guys have to go through, and I have some personal friends going through it right now. Did I spell assignment wrong? Yes, I did. Leave me alone. The reason I was interested in this topic because of this man. This is Casey Lawrence, and he has been DFA'd and then picked up by the Seattle Mariners 5 times. He's also thrown almost 90 innings for the Mariners, but he has been DFA'd by them almost 10 times in his career. It's interesting. So he's 37 years old. He keeps getting really short stints where they pitch him for a couple innings in low leverage when there's a blow up or they just need some pitching help. Then he gets DFA'd. He goes back down to Tacoma. He hangs out for like a week. They call him back up because they need another spot. And the merry-go-round continues. Now you may be wondering, why don't they just option him? He doesn't have any options. So I will explain this in just a moment. So let's talk a little bit about what a DFA is. In Major League Baseball, designated for assignment means a player is removed from a team's 40-man roster. I'll pause there. The 40-man roster is the 26 guys in the big leagues, and then it is 14 additional guys that are either on the injured list that is less than 60 days. So if they're on the 10-day injured list or whatever, they have to stay on the 40-man. The 40-man roster, you have to be put on it after your 5th year in the minor leagues, or you go into the Rule 5 draft. So that is the two things. They can protect you, or you go in the Rule 5 draft. We talked about that in the past. So we're talking about the 40-man roster, so that's why sometimes you see guys who are not in the big leagues get pulled off of it. Also, your minor league pay increases a lot if you're on the 40-man versus if you're not. Moving on, but not immediately released or traded. You go into what we call DFA limbo. It's the worst place on the planet. It's very similar to all the other limbos that have been in myth and in lore. Imagine if you're waiting to go across River Styx in Hades, that is what this is. The team has a period to decide the player's future, which could include trading them, placing them on waivers, releasing them, or even reassigning them to the minor leagues. In Casey Lawrence's case, he takes his assignment every time. So he sits, you have up to 7 days to make a decision on one of those 3 things and decide where that guy's going. You may be wondering, what happens to that guy? I have a nice little flow chart for you guys to understand a little bit more. So you're removed from the 40-man roster. You go into limbo. That's where you are here. In those 7 days in limbo, every team knows that you're DFA'd now. So they know that that team is willing to make a trade. That's why you see a lot of like, this guy gets traded for cash. That is a lot of what happens. They pick you up without having to use a waiver claim. Then we have placed on waivers. So how waivers work is there's this draft and there's this order, and you have to use waiver claims like a currency. If there's other teams that can claim them before that very clearly need a guy like that, you're not going to get them. So you would rather trade for them with some cash, or they get placed on waivers. So someone claims them, like I just said, or nobody claims them. They're on waivers, nobody claims them, and they get outrighted to the minor leagues. So then they just go be on a minor league contract with the team they're still with. So those are the 3 main things that happen. There is one caveat with outrighted. Adam Ottavino did this the last time he was DFA'd and outrighted. They said, we're going to outright you. Do you accept your minor league assignment? Because he's a veteran, he doesn't have to, he can just say, I'm going to be a free agent, I'm going to leave. He doesn't have to accept it. That is the other thing that can happen. So those 4 options are the things that happen with DFAs. Where are the people during these DFAs? Well, recently, a good friend of mine, Tomas Nido, who was with me with the Mets, was DFA'd by the Tigers. You know what he's doing? Nothing. You can't go play. You can't go to the minors. You can't go do anything. You don't even know what city to go to. So most guys just sit in their apartment for a week waiting for someone to tell them what their career is going to look like from now on. That sucks. You have a family with you. You got to figure out where to move your stuff. You got to figure out like where you're going to go, where you're going to live and stuff. It's hard enough having to do that quickly. It's even harder when you don't know where those things will be. That's kind of how it works. Now, there's one situation where it's positive, and that's taking the free agent route, right? Sometimes you're just getting DFA'd because there's a roster crunch. Like one of the best players on the team is coming off of a long-term surgery and they need that spot back, and you're just struggling and you're older and you're there on a 1-year contract or whatever, but you're still good enough to be in the big leagues. Your team's just really good and there's nowhere to put you. They can't do a lot with you, so they have to do 1 or 2 things. So taking your outright, they'll just be like, hey man, we don't have a spot for you, but there's another team that will probably take you. They'll just take their free agency, they get picked up right away, then they go to another team. So that's the one benefit. That's rare though. That is a small percentage of total situations, but it has happened. And I know guys who have been like, oh yeah, I got to get out of here, guys. I wish I could stay on this team, but it's just not in the cards, and they go. Fortunately, I was never DFA'd, but I'm sure if I played 1 or 2 more years, it would have been on the table. So This sucks. This whole situation is the worst. It really is. Because you guys know, living with uncertainty sucks, right? Like, I don't know if I'm going to have a job in a week. I don't know if this is going to happen. I don't know where we're going to live. I don't know if we can pay our rent. It's a microcosm of a lot of those things, especially when it's like your lifelong dream. It's playing baseball. There's only really a couple places you can play and really make a living and support your family. So there aren't a lot of options, and going backwards is really, 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 really hard sometimes. But also, if you have kids and a wife and a family, like, and just being like, everyone's like, hey, what are we doing? And you're like, it's a nightmare. I want to give you a prime example of somebody who did this for us, the Mets, in 2021, and that I'm so happy I got to play with the guy, but also the way he handled it was like a true champ, knowing what was going to happen. By the end, we were joking about it. So, Mets fans in the chat, you may know or remember a man named Jared Iikoff. In 2021, Jared Iikoff was called up and DFA'd by the New York Mets 5 separate times. Let me take you through that timeline. On June 20th, he was brought up from Syracuse. Then he made his Mets debut that day. He threw 4 innings, gave up 0 runs, threw really well. He was then designated for assignment that night, so he was up with us for 1 day. He went through, wasn't claimed off waivers. 7 days after that, he is reselected by the Mets. He pitches against the Braves, throws 3 1/3 innings, gives up 10 runs. He was then DFA'd directly after that game, so he's been in the big leagues for 3 days. 11 days after that, he comes up again in Cincinnati. He is reselected. He pitches, and then he stays with us for about a week at that point because we were hurting. I remember Rob Stock tore his hamstring. A bunch of guys were going down all over the place. We're like, we can't get rid of Iikoff yet. And then he is DFA'd once again 9 days later. On August 13th, he's called up again to fill in a spot. He throws 2 innings, struggles, and gets DFA'd again. So he gets DFA'd 4 times in one season. Actually, he gets DFA'd 4 times in 2 months, pitched in 5 games over those times and had an 8.69 ERA. So, 2 things here. 1, how can you get ready to pitch at a high level when that's what's happening to you? And 2, once you go to the big leagues, struggle a little bit because you need a little bit of continuity to get going. Are you going to get many more opportunities? No. And in Jared Iikoff's case, he didn't get much more opportunity after that. I can't say enough for guys who go do this. They just swallow it. They take it like a man, they just wear it, and they do their best, and they don't complain. Jared Iikoff is one of those, so I'm going to give him some love for that. He was like, yeah, man, it sucks. Like, he was like, obviously, like, yeah, like, he wasn't complaining, though. It was more like, we're like, dude, this sucks, we're sorry. And he's like, yeah, it does suck, but, like, it's what you got to do. I don't think a lot of people handle it that way. Not knowing where you're going to be in a week is hard enough, but adding the fact that you don't know if you will ever get another opportunity, it's even worse. As the old saying goes, in conclusion, hang with them, man. It's baseball. You sling your cleats over your shoulder and you go find another diamond to play on, and cross your fingers and hope that the powers that be give you as many opportunities as you can get. So, in the case of Casey Lawrence, if you're a Mariners fan, you're like, how does this guy keep appearing on our team? Doesn't he keep getting released? He's not getting released. He's getting DFA'd. And hopefully you can think about it. It gives you a little context on what some of these guys are going through. So if a guy comes up and does pitch well, which Casey Lawrence has been doing in this situation, it's even more impressive with all the crap you have to deal with. The fact that you don't have a bed that you normally sleep in or a suitcase that ever gets unpacked. Hats off to Casey for dealing with it and doing his job and doing it to the best of his ability.